Now, this section is all about adjusting fonts. So in the last tutorial, you used some serif and sans serif fonts and you learned the differences about those different types of fonts and when they're used. And in this tutorial, you're going to look at using some serif fonts as well as some decorative fonts. Now, there are four general types of fonts. So we've got our serif, our sans serif. We also have script fonts, which are cursive writing. And then we have what are called decorative fonts, which are usually interesting fonts. They may be a mixture of cursive and print or have drips coming out of them or be made out of unusual shapes. And you want to be very careful when you use these fonts. You want to use them sparingly because sometimes they can be really challenging to read. So we're going to try to use a clear decorative font for our flyer here. And we're first going to start by scrolling down to these instructions. And the first part is that we have to select the first line of text. Now I want to show you a trick here to select your text using the Shift key. And I'm holding down the Shift key with one finger and I'm pressing the arrow key to the right so I can select individual letters. And this can be helpful, especially if you, for example, select a whole bunch of text and then, I just missed the end. You can hold down your arrow key to select all the way to the end. Sometimes this is helpful too because you want to grab your paragraph mark or you do not want to grab your paragraph mark, and we'll see that later. So here I'm going to go ahead and select Carnival and hold down my Shift key and select all the way to the end there. And I'm going to adjust my font size. So first I'm going to head up here and make it size 72. And you can also do that by bumping the arrows up and down. And then I'd like to change the font style to be one of these decorative fonts. So I'm going to go into my font menu here, and there's a couple that I could choose from, and the one I'm going to look for, it's all in alphabetical order here, is Ravi. If you have Rosewood, that one looks really cool too. It's kind of a carnival looking font. You'll see that it could be hard to read if all of the text was in this, and you're probably wondering what's this weird thing over here. That's my paragraph mark, but it is with this weird decorative font look. So next, I'm going to select all the rest of my text, and I'm going to change it to a serif font. And another way I can do that, I could scroll down the menu, but if I know the font I'm looking for, I could just start typing in CAL and IF, and you can see that Californian FB comes up, and I can go ahead and press enter, and you can see that the font was applied. So sometimes you don't have to scroll, you could just go ahead and type it in or type part of it in. So you can see that this is a serif font. It has little edges on there that help with reading clarity. I'm going to increase the size of that to size 28. And I can do the same thing here too. I could type in 28 and press enter. And now I'm going to zoom back a bit because that way I can see my whole flyer. Now I decide that this $ does not look very professional here, so I'm on step 5, and I decide I'm going to type in the word dollar. So I'm going to go ahead and just double click to select that, and I'm going to type in dollars. And now I decide that I'd like to make Santa Cruz Preschool stand out. So there are some fun ways to select text. I can hover my pointer over here and I can select line after line. See how quickly I can select the whole line, and that way I don't have to click and drag over here. So I can go ahead and point and select. Another way I can select, if I want to get one word selected, I can double click. And if I want to get a whole paragraph or a whole line selected, in this case, because the paragraph is just one line, I can triple click. 1, 2, 3. So I'd like to select this line, which is actually a paragraph in Word, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to make that bold by clicking on the B there. And what else? It wants me to make that also size 36. So I could go and type that in. And now you're going to specialize this by making this your name. So rather than Santa Cruz, go ahead and put in your name here, not my name, your name, and make sure that you save. And I did want you to note, sometimes if your name is not in the dictionary, you'll get a spelling error, but you do know how to spell your name. So if it is spelled correctly, that is just fine. So make sure that you double check names, because oftentimes they're not in the dictionary. And that is the end of this section.